Why is it that the moment you lose her, you become obsessed with getting her back? You're watching this because you're probably going through it right now. The distance, the silence, the desperate need to fix whatever went wrong. But here's what's going to shock you about reattraction. Everything you think you know is backwards. And by the end of this, you'll understand exactly why your current approach is pushing her further away and what actually works instead. But first, I need to tell you about the biggest mistake every guy makes when trying to win someone back. It's so common that you've probably already made it without even realizing it. And it's the reason why your texts get shorter responses, why she seems less interested, and why that spark feels completely dead. You see, most guys think reattraction is about doing more texting, more compliments, more effort, more everything. They think if they just try harder, she'll remember why she liked them. But that's not how attraction works. That's how you kill it completely. Here's the thing nobody tells you. The version of you that she fell for wasn't trying to reattract her. He didn't need to because he already had something she wanted. But somewhere along the way, you lost that thing. And until you understand what that thing actually was, you'll keep making the same mistakes over and over again. What was that thing? It wasn't your looks. It wasn't your money. It wasn't even your personality, exactly. It was your energy. The energy of a man who was complete without her. But here's where it gets interesting. And this is the part that's going to change everything for you. Most guys think they need to become a different person to get her back. They think they need to transform into some perfect version of themselves. But that's actually the second biggest mistake. Because she didn't fall for a perfect person. She fell for you. The problem isn't that you're not good enough. The problem is much more subtle than that. The problem is that you stopped believing you were good enough. And when you stop believing in your own worth, you start acting from a place of scarcity instead of abundance. You start trying to prove your value instead of simply being valuable. And women can sense this shift immediately. But before I tell you how to fix this, I need to explain why your current strategy is actually making things worse. Because if you don't understand this next part, everything else I'm about to share won't work. When you became obsessed with getting her back, you started operating from fear. Fear of losing her, fear of being alone, fear of not being enough. And fear is the opposite of attraction. Fear makes you needy. Fear makes you desperate. Fear makes you do things that push her away while you're trying to pull her closer. Think about how you've been acting lately. Are you texting her more than usual? Are you trying to force conversations? Are you analyzing every word she says for hidden meaning? Are you showing up places where you know she'll be? If you're doing any of these things, you're operating from fear, and she can feel it. But here's what's really going to mess with your head. The harder you try to reattract her using these fear-based tactics, the more you confirm in her mind that she was right to create distance. Because the version of you that she's seeing now isn't the version she fell for. So what do you do instead? This is where most dating advice gets it completely wrong. They tell you to play games, to use tactics, to manipulate her emotions. But that's not what actually works long term. What works is something much more powerful, but it requires you to do something that feels completely backwards. You have to become genuinely okay with losing her, not pretend to be okay, not act like you're okay while secretly hoping she comes back. Actually, okay. And here's why this is so important, and why this next part is crucial for everything to work. When you're genuinely okay with losing her, you stop acting from scarcity and start acting from abundance. You stop trying to hold on and start letting go. You stop being needy and start being attractive again. But there's a specific way to do this that most guys get wrong. Most guys think being okay with losing her means becoming cold or distant or playing hard to get. That's not it at all. Being okay with losing her means focusing on becoming the best version of yourself, whether she's in your life or not. It means rebuilding your foundation as a man who has his own purpose, his own goals, his own life that doesn't revolve around her. But here's the part that's going to save you months of confusion and frustration. You can't fake this. You can't just act like you have your own life while secretly obsessing over her. You actually have to build a life that's so fulfilling, so engaging, so magnetic that you genuinely wouldn't trade it for anyone. And this is where it gets really interesting. Because when you start building this kind of life, something unexpected happens. You don't just become more attractive to her, you become more attractive to everyone. But more importantly, you become attractive to yourself again. Remember what you were like when you first met her. You had your own interests, your own friends, your own goals that had nothing to do with her. You weren't walking on eggshells or trying to say the perfect thing all the time. You were just being yourself. And that self was magnetic. But here's what nobody tells you about getting back to that version of yourself. It's not just about picking up old hobbies or reconnecting with friends. That's surface level. The real work is internal. You have to figure out why you became so attached to her validation in the first place. Ask yourself this question and really think about the answer. What were you afraid of losing when you started trying so hard to keep her? Was it her? Or was it the way she made you feel about yourself? Were you afraid of being alone? Or were you afraid of facing the parts of yourself you've been avoiding? Often, when we become overly attached to someone, it's because we're using them to fill a void that only we can fill ourselves. We're looking for them to make us feel complete, worthy, lovable. But that's not their job. That's our job. And until we do that job, we'll keep pushing people away with our neediness. So here's what this looks like practically. You create space, not to punish her or make her jealous, but to give yourself room to remember who you are. During this space, you work on yourself, not to impress her, but to become the kind of man you respect. You start pursuing things that genuinely interest you. You reconnect with friends. You work on your goals. You address the insecurities that made you needy in the first place. You become so engaged with your own life that you stop obsessing over hers. And here's the beautiful paradox. The less you need her to come back, the more likely she is to want to. The more complete you become without her, the more she'll want to be part of your completeness. Because now you're not offering her neediness, you're offering her choice. When you do reconnect, you're different. You're not trying to convince her of anything. You're not analyzing every word. You're just being the authentic, confident person she remembers falling for. And you're completely okay if she's not interested, because you know your worth doesn't depend on her response. This is the real secret to re-attraction. It's not about her at all. It's about becoming so grounded in your own value that you can love freely without attachment. And that version of you is irresistible to the right person. AE.